the main topic today is going to start in a second, but I've got an announcement that the teacher will be making tonight, so we'll do that first. So we have been pretty lenient for the first few weeks in terms of parties, and I want to make sure that we continue to have fun at the school and continue to have you guys as students have the freedom to do what you guys need to do, like, you know, go to the restroom when you feel like you need to go to the restroom, take a walk around the building if you need to take a walk around the building. We want to be able to accommodate all those things, but we also need to make sure that we are also respecting the students in the classroom and the teachers in the classroom. And tardiness, unfortunately, is one of those things that is really, it feels like it doesn't make a difference, but it really does make a difference. I can tell you as a teacher myself that whenever, you know, class is supposed to start at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and we can't really start it until like 8:05 or 8:06 or 8:07, it's not respectful to the teacher who's there ready to start teaching. And it's not respectful to those students who are there early, ready to start learning, if we have to wait and waste their time just so that you can have that extra little drink of water or finish that conversation that you were having. So let's recognize and realize that this isn't just about you. This is about the entire school. And somebody last year, I can't remember who it was, made a comment when I was talking about tardiness that kind of rung true to me. That says that he said that if you're not early, then you're late. And so just think that way. A lot of us try to make it right there on time, get there right at 8 a.m., right there at 9 a.m. So let's work on getting there a couple minutes early so that we're actually ready and prepared to start school when we enter into that classroom. Okay? So to help you along, we are going to be returning to having lunch detentions. And for the most part, though, this time it is teacher's discretion for the first few minutes of class on whether or not to have any kind of consequence. But if it's extreme, then they are going to ask you to go down and get a tardy slip, and if you get a tardy slip, then you can expect to have lunch detention. So my hope is that nobody has lunch detention. I don't like punishing people. So this should just be a deterrent, just something a little bit extra to help motivate us to get to class on time. Any questions? All right. Way to start the old war on the down. Thank you. Thanks for your support. Okay, so the real reason we're here today is to watch America's Got Talent. Just kidding.
It's not even on.
Just kidding. So we are going to watch a clip from it in a little bit. And the clip is actually relevant to what we're going to be discussing today.
Right.
So the topic today is about identity. And it's about our school identity. And so we as a staff, all summer long and well into the start of school, have been working to try to figure out what our identity is as a school. What makes us special? Why is it that all of you guys here are here? And so what we've come up with is that the secret sauce, the specialness about our school, and the reason that I think all of you guys are here right now, is because we are a community, first, a community of acceptance, and a community of acceptance and anti-bullying. So I think every school would argue that they don't tolerate bullying. And the difference here, though, is that this is our first principle. So we're not saying that we're a school that teaches you math. We're not saying that we're a school that teaches you English. We're not saying we're a school that gets you into college. We are first a school of acceptance and anti-bullying. And in my mind, education cannot follow unless students feel safe and feel accepted and can be who they are at all times. And I think we saw that with Ms. Geis's talk at the last Passion Talk. I think we saw that it's not just students, it's everybody. So all of us need to feel safe and need to feel accepted. That's what has to happen first before we can do anything. And especially in the teenage years, that's such a super crucial time in your life where you need to be able to feel safe and feel accepted and feel like you belong somewhere. And without that, education is really, really hard to follow. So our goal today is to first unpack the statement, figure out what this actually means. And then as a community, together we're going to come up with what we're going to call a covenant. And the covenant is basically going to describe what we as a community here feel that we absolutely believe in and what we don't believe in. Because we want to make sure that every other student and staff member or community member that comes to our school is also agrees to the same thing. So covenant is basically an agreement. So we could call this an agreement. Covenant is a fancy word that is a little bit stronger. So usually covenant has religious connotations, so it's a covenant with God. And so it's a really serious agreement. And so if we as a student body and a staff agree on what it is that makes our school special, and we get every student who comes in here, every staff member who comes in here, and every community member or parent who comes in here to agree to these same things, then I think we can preserve what we have. Does that make sense? So basically what we're going to do today is we're going to watch America's Got Talent in a second. And actually, you know what? I think we'll do that right now. I want you guys to watch this clip, and I'm going to talk about it afterwards.
Much of it. You got a better camera to use for zoom out. It's amazing the things we can do these days with technology. It's just like, I mean, if it's all that.
Experience when I looked into the mirror and you start to look closer. Maybe you see my double chin, or maybe you see that my body doesn't fit in what people think is beautiful. You stop looking. When I walked on stage the very first time, I didn't know what to expect.
Don't ever let anybody's comments stop you from being you, because you are beautiful and more than anyone.
Unanimously, we have decided to put you through to the live shows.
Yes.
For the very first time, I heard yes. America's Got Talent has changed my life. I'm proud that I've had the courage to face my greatest fear. When I look in the mirror, the woman who did that, she's not skinny, and she's not perfect, but she's me. For the first time in my life, I feel just right.
I used to feel so uninspired. And when I knew I had to face another day.
That's it? This is the greatest song of my life.
lights, please? Okay, wonderful. So when I watched that aired on Monday, and so, or Tuesday, I guess actually. And so when I watched that, what I thought was, oh my goodness, if that woman had gone to our school, maybe we would have been given the gift of her music much, much sooner. These problems don't just affect teenagers. This affects everyone. And so if we can give you guys the confidence to be who you are and to be comfortable in your own skin, who knows what you guys are going to be capable of? And think of all the people who have not been able to do that, who have never felt comfortable in their own skin, and think what we as a world have lost because of it. That's why, for us, community of acceptance and anti-bullying is our first principle. Let's think about the words community. So if you think about this, we could have stopped right there. We could have just said hi, a community. Because the reality is that a community is a group of people who, by definition, kind of accept each other because they're together. You don't have to be a part of a community. People choose to be a part of a community. And so if they're choosing to be with others, then they must naturally accept each other. But we got to make it clear. And so we're going to add that word acceptance. And if you think about acceptance, acceptance is accepting everything. It's accepting that people are going to be different. It's accepting that they might not necessarily agree with you. It's accepting that sometimes they might make mistakes. And if they make those mistakes, that doesn't define them. And maybe they can recover from those mistakes. As you guys think about acceptance today, later when you're in your advisories, think about all the things that you're expecting others to accept about yourself. And I think one of the big ones that we often forget is that sometimes people do make mistakes. We as a school, we accept that people make mistakes. Many of you guys have been in our office. Some of you guys have been suspended. But when you come back, it's a clean slate. We accept that sometimes as growing adults, emerging adults, that sometimes we make mistakes. We even expect that we as adults make mistakes. I'm certainly not the same person that I was 30 years ago. And I would hate to be judged for the mistakes that I made 30 years ago. So allow each other to make mistakes and allow them to decide to change. So that's acceptance. So we could stop there, a community of acceptance. But we're going one step further, and we're going to say no. We also want to make it really, really clear that we don't accept bullying. And if you think about it, bullying can't happen in a world where you're a community and you're built on acceptance. Bullying can't possibly happen. But we want to make it really clear that that's who we are. And there's a lot of thought and a lot of decisions making that went into choosing whether to include that word in there. Because we're putting ourselves out there. I'm sure there's people in this room right now who think, no, I've been bullied. And I've been bullied here at SET. There may be people thinking, no, McCurdy and McClendon didn't do anything about it. We can't always get it right. But what we're promising and what we're committing to the world is that this is our first principle. And we're going to do everything we can as a community to make sure that bullying doesn't happen. And that's powerful. It's not just like bullet point number 25 on the list of who we are. This is right up there at the top. We do not tolerate bullying. And it's not just administration. It's not just the teachers. It's the entire student body that needs to agree to this. that needs to believe this, and needs to work to make sure that we don't do it ourselves, that we recognize when we might be doing something that might appear to be bullying and stop, that we recognize that when our friends are doing something that it might be bullying, that we ask them to stop. So we're putting ourselves out there by saying this. I hope you guys recognize that this is the brave thing for us to do as a school. And we might not always get it right, but we're committing to trying. Okay? So I want to take this opportunity to see if there's anyone who would like to share their experience in front of the whole group. We're definitely, I don't expect this to happen. If nobody wants to, that's totally fine. This is like bullying, acceptance. These are like the hardest issues to talk about, and very few are brave enough to do it in front of the entire group. But certainly when you're in your smaller groups, I urge you guys to share your stories so that we can help codify, put into code, what it is that we as a school believe. And if anybody wants to share out, I want to make sure that we give you guys the opportunity to do so, but it's not a requirement. So it looks like Keely would like to. Keely, by the way, is a cat.
So I'm just gonna start by saying this is really scary. I have a lot of bad social anxiety, so this is terrifying for me. But I'm a senior this year and I kind of want to put out an example.